This is Sal, and you are listening to the Falafel House Fantasy Football Podcast on the BS Podcast Network.
In a world of ordinary fantasy football podcasts, ordinary guys rise up to bring you extraordinary analysis and entertainment. This is the Falafel House Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts Kevin Cutillo, Sal Lito, and Stephen Marcus.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today is Tuesday, August 8th, and this is the Falafel House Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Kevin Cutillo. I have with me Mr. Sal Lito. What's going on, Sal?
Howdy, folks.
Folks?
What was that?
That's what you're going with?
That's how we talk. That's how we talk here in New York. We say folks.
Long Island, do they say folks?
No, we don't say that here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, we have to play. We're gonna have to play Sal Says again soon because it's been a while. We had a private chat, but you know we have our own podcast chat, obviously, and there was quite the funny one from Sal this morning, I believe it was. But Steve transcribed the message. What's going on, Steve? Steve Marcus is here, obviously.
What up? Yeah, it was different. Something about accident holes. I know that was definitely part of it. So
I do believe accident holes were a part of the transcription. So
yeah, it was awkward.
We will get back to that, but we don't have time for that tonight, guys. We do not have time. Training camps are just rolling along. There is lots to do, lots to talk about. And on top of that, besides getting to some news, we're also going to do a live draft again. Sort of live, I guess.
No, it's live.
Well, it won't be live when it won't be live when they're hearing it.
Yeah, it's live for us.
You would have to be the best producer of all time to have that edited and live.
Yeah, it'd be difficult. Or
I think you could do it, Steve.
Do it live.
Yeah,
I'll try next time.
Maybe like a radio show would like us to come on someday and do a live something.
Huh. What about that?
Maybe we could work on that. But for now, we're gonna start the show off with a little bit of something that we haven't done in a while, Sal. And I know you're very excited about it. It's care or don't care.
Woohoo!
Care or don't care.
All right. So the biggest news we're gonna start off with: Jay Cutler signs with the Dolphins this week. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill goes down with the knee injury. They really haven't announced whether or not he's out for the year yet, I don't think. I think they're taking slow with their time there. But obviously, the signing of Cutler pretty much suggests that he is out for the year because they're not going to carry both of them. Steve, do you care?
I actually do care. I like Jay Cutler. He is what everyone says, a gunslinger. So he's got a cannon of an arm. I think what the internet really won when he came back for his press conference yesterday, the memes that came out all over Twitter were just absolutely hilarious. But as far as from a fantasy aspect, I do like this. I think it helps Devontae Parker quite a bit. I was already high on him coming into the season already, but I think that this gives him a little bit of a boost. We know how Jay Cutler does like to sling the ball around. He takes chances. He's not afraid to throw an interception. And Alshon Jeffrey in Chicago and Brandon Marshall, when he was there, they were both big wide receivers, big targets for him, and he seemed to utilize them a lot. Now, Jarvis Landry is the high-volume guy on that team. I don't think this really hurts him at all. I think Jay Cutler was able to have Eddie Royal be a productive asset on that team while he was healthy there, so I don't think this hurts them. I don't think it hurts the team around or as much as a whole with Cutler stepping in for Tannehill. I think they all kind of stay about the same with a little bit of a boost to Devontae Parker, I feel, just because of Cutler's willingness to chuck it down the field and see what happens.
I would think that helps Kenny Stills as well, getting downfield. But the guy you're leaving out is the guy that we brought up last week, and Kevin liked him as well.
Thomas.
125 tight end targets in his year with Gase. So I love Julius Thomas at the value that you could get him right now. You can get him as your tight end too. You don't have to draft him early, but he could pay off big dividends. So do you think if they asked Jay Cutler if he cared or didn't care, his response would be don't care?
Don't care.
Yeah, I mean,
Did
I think
you hear
his
where they
response
asked
is
him
always don't care.
about what kind of shape he's in, and his answer to that?
Yes, he plays quarterback. He doesn't need to be in shape.
Exactly. That says it all.
You know what? He's nothing if he's not funny, right? He's definitely got a sense of humor. He's honest. I like the guy. I think that this is on a 1-year deal. Look, the other thing about this is I think it could turn into a not 1-year deal. If they have a decent season, he could probably be convinced to come back another year after that. So, we're obviously talking about him in redraft formats, and the majority of people are going to think that he is the 1-year rental. But Tannehill, I don't know. I don't love him. I don't think anyone else does. I don't even know if the Dolphins do. He certainly wasn't Gase's guy. So if this works out, it's something that I would consider as far as them potentially bringing him back next year too. So if you're in a dynasty format, I would take a flyer on Cutler. Not too much money, or if you're in an auction style or free agent, what do you call them, Steve? Please help me out here.
Fab,
that would be it. Yep.
I can't help but feel like you're speaking directly to me, Kevin.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was going to say, I wasn't paying attention. Thanks for bailing me out there, Sal.
Yeah, but to your point, Sal, Julius Thomas currently going 144th overall. So he's the 12th round in a 12-team league. So I agree with you. That is just great value for a guy who's just got an incredible boost, in my opinion, as well. So, all right, let's continue along the news chain here. Anquan Boldin signs with the Bills. Sal, are you excited? Do you care?
I do care. Anquan Boldin's obviously a red zone threat. I think that this takes away the tight. It was Charles Clay who's the tight end over there in Buffalo. I think that downgrades his red zone value. Friend of the show, Matthew Berry, has been pumping out this stat that only Jordy Nelson got more red zone targets last year than Anquan Boldin. Anquan Boldin has caught 56 receptions or more since 2003. I think that he becomes a wide receiver, low end 3 to 4 in 12-team leagues. I do care because he's got that great touchdown upside potential, and I think that he could be a great best ball player. Coincidentally, doing a draft a little later.
Makes sense. I also like this signing. It does give a little bit of a hit to Zay Jones, the rookie wide receiver that has been looking really good in camp so far, but obviously Anquan Boldin would probably be a spot ahead of him. Sammy Watkins has been healthy so far, although he did leave the field for a little bit the other day, but did end up coming back on and is supposedly going to be playing a full quarter in their first preseason game, which I feel is a little bit unnecessary. They're going to waste about 10% of his entire season in that one quarter, and I think that it's a good signing. I think that they're going to use him in the red zone, like Sal said. Now, the Bills are a team that do like to run the ball a lot and also run the ball a lot in the red zone within the 10-yard line, but I think that this gives them a very viable option to maybe switch that up and try to go a little different route, maybe catch teams off guard. So I love this signing. I think that he is going to be a great best ball play, like Sal said.
Do you know how many touchdowns Tyrod Taylor threw last year?
I'm going to say 17.
I was going to say 16.
Sal is correct. He got it on the nose. 17. That's not a lot of passing touchdowns for any team.
No.
And in my opinion, that's kind of, Bolden's value is clearly the red zone. This is a team that does not really throw the ball in the red zone, as you said, Steve. So for me, I care. I think you got to raise an eyebrow a little bit, but that's probably where it ends for me. I'm not looking for him too much. His ADP is probably going to go up very quickly, and I am not going to be a buyer at anything more than, like a last round type of flyer. If you're already into your season and you're using Fab, I really wouldn't spend all that much on him because I just don't expect a lot out of this offense in the passing game. And but I do think your point about Charles Clay is correct, Sal, and that makes me sad because I have him on a lot of players as a cheap places as a cheap tight end. So, all right, moving along. Andrew Luck has no timetable. Meanwhile, Cam Newton should be back soon. A lot of ambiguity surrounding these two quarterbacks, although it does sound like Cam Newton is a much better position than Andrew Luck. Sal, which one do you care about more, and why?
I care about Cam more because I like to. I'm going to draft Cam this year because I'm getting him at a great value. I've been grabbing him in a couple of best ball drafts already. Luck, who I had ranked high in my initial rankings, I've dropped him down now, and I'll probably drop him lower. I did mention on a recent podcast he's falling into the undraftable territory for me. I'm sure that when he gets out there, he'll be fine, but it's just been, this is going on the third year of this saga of injury with him, and they're always very secretive about it. They kind of protect it, and no, I'm just really becoming uninterested in having him on my team. So I'll be definitely paying more attention to Cam Newton and his progress, throwing, getting that shoulder loose. And Cam's just a favorite of mine. He's a guy I enjoy watching play. I found out yesterday that a lot of guys that our dynasty league feel like he's overrated and not a good player. And I don't agree with that. I think that he is obviously a dual threat. I think he can throw the ball an absolute mile, and we all know he pulls it down and runs like a running back. So Cam it is.
You hear that, caveman? He's talking directly to you right there.
Stand down. Stand
really
down.
Is, and I agree with him because I think the assertion that Cam Newton is not a good quarterback and doesn't throw the ball well and depends on his legs is crazy. I agree. I saw that, and I just think it's nuts. There's no way that you can tell me that everything that he's done in this league is dependent on the fact that he can run the ball. Sure, it is a big part of his game, and I think that it helps his game, but he can chuck it. And he makes pretty decent decisions for the majority of the part, in my opinion. So, Steve, Matt Ryan, Andrew Luck, and Russell Wilson are all going in the 5th round. I'm assuming with this news, you're going Russell Wilson and Matt Ryan ahead of Andrew Luck, even though you hate Russell Wilson.
It, like Sal said, it is getting more and more worrisome. I think they said the other day he was throwing a tennis ball, so that's cool. He's throwing a tennis ball around. I guess that's progress, but it is not throwing.
Hey guys,
football.
right now I'm throwing an apple up in the air.
I heard that. Did you catch it?
This is great.
That's good.
It's not going to get me ready for the NFL.
Yeah, so I have not adjusted my rankings yet, but it's definitely getting to that point where you're getting more and more worried. I think I would be getting to that point where I'd wait just that extra round to take Russell Wilson or that extra few picks. I would feel more comfortable right now with Russell Wilson. The news out of his camp is that he is doing very well. His wide receivers are all healthy right now with Paul Richardson, Tyler Lockett, Doug Baldwin, Jimmy Graham, all those guys. So I think I would feel a little more safe with one of those picks, but I'm still holding out hope that Andrew Luck is able to start the season on time. But like Sal said, they're so secretive, you have to wait until you hear more.
All right, Sal, here's another one for you because I'm guessing this particular type of news you do care about and it makes you sad. Kareem Hunt is getting more and more first-team reps. The news out there is that Andy Reid likes what the kid is doing and wants to get him involved. He's been using him in the first team in a lot of practices. Do you care or not care about Kareem Hunt?
I'd be lying if I said I didn't care, but I also saw a story yesterday, early yesterday, it said Spencer Ware's job is not in danger. So this is training camp.
Yeah, but that one was fake.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn
sorry.
it.
Yeah.
They both came from Roto World. I don't know what to believe. Damn you, Evan Silva. Damn you all to hell. Evan Silva, he retweets a lot of what he hears coming out of camp from beat reporters and people that are on site there. So you're getting a lot of differing opinions. I'm sure Kareem Hunt has looked the part. I mean, we all liked his college film. We all think he's and if you look at Kareem Hunt and how he's built and what he does traditionally fit the Andy Reid scheme better than Spencer Ware does. There's no doubt about that. I do believe that this is Spencer Ware's year to put up or shut up. I do believe going forward beyond this year in a dynasty situation, Kareem Hunt's the guy you want to have. But I still believe Ware is going to get plenty of touches this year, be the lead guy, get the goal line work, and definitely be enough to be at least a low-end RB2. So I care. I'm obviously going to pay attention to this every day as we near some of our bigger, more important drafts. But
how many shares of Spencer Ware do you own?
If you want to get into best ball leagues, I probably have Spencer Ware in over 50% of my leagues that I've currently drafted.
So here's the thing. I like Spencer Ware. I do think Kareem Hunt is going to be a factor in this offense. I know that, Andy Reid traditionally uses one back for the most part, but I think a kid that's talented and that shows he can play in the scheme will get some work. And Kareem Hunt's currently going at RB 46. Meanwhile, Spencer Ware is all the way up at RB 18 in the 4th round versus what did I say here? Where is it? This is good. This is good audio, huh?
This is good stuff.
11th round, 4th round versus the 11th round. So for me, if I'm looking at it, I might take a chance on the guy in the 11th round because I don't know that I trust Spencer Ware to have that much work that you're saying he will.
Here's what I'm thinking. Also, we know that Macklin is gone from there, and a big receiving threat in that offense is Travis Kelce. The next guy in line is going to be Tyreek Hill. We don't know what Chris Conley is going to be or Albert Wilson or any of these guys. It's very possible both of these guys could be very relevant, and Kareem Hunt plays a very big passing game role. So if the value is great, and I cannot argue with taking them where you're taking them, but I do see a scenario where both of them can be relevant. We know that that's not the way Andy has done it in the past, but maybe Kareem Hunt just doesn't get a lot of carries, but gets 8 to 10 targets a game. It's very possible. The NFL is shifting towards that, especially with guys like McCaffrey coming in. I think that you're definitely going to start to see this type of thing. So two running backs are more relevant than ever in an offense.
Steve,
what?
Skipping along down the line here, Quincy Enunwa has a neck injury, is now out for the year. I know that you care about this.
Yeah, first and foremost, very unfortunate for Quincy Enunwa. He was a guy that showed flashes last year. He had a few big games. He was a good-looking receiver. And for him to be out for the season with a neck injury, very unfortunate for him. You hope for a speedy recovery for him, or hope he's able to recover and come back next year. But as for me, like you mentioned, someone that has invested quite a bit in Ardarius Stewart so far this year, yeah, I mean, it does mean better things for him. There's just one less guy to take targets away, and so I have been advocating for him, drafting him in the last round of your best ball leagues. That is probably not going to be able to be possible anymore. I still think that he is best in a best ball format. Drafting him in redraft and starting him with any consistency, that is going to be a task, not something you're going to want to do unless you see him do it for a couple games. And then, of course, the news comes out today. Nick Whalen posted on Twitter that he had heard something about a potential domestic violence issue with Ardarius Stewart last week. So that's going to give me some pause. Unless if his ADP is rising, I'm going to be less likely to maybe pick him up. But for all around, for the Jets pass catchers, they're having a terrible training camp. Austin Seferian-Jenkins evidently looks very good, so as long as he can stay healthy, he's probably going to get a few more targets. Robbie Anderson is the number one wide receiver on that team, has had a reportedly bad training camp. And then you've had Bilal Powell, who's already missed practice and had been banged up with his own neck injury, and then Matt Forte. So this team is becoming one of the worst fantasy wastelands that you could think of, unless you're in one of those leagues where you don't have to pick where to start them. It's very unfortunate for this team, but they are going to get a very high draft pick next year, which means they should be able to solve all their quarterback problems.
I'm drafting in a league. It's a Scott Fish league, and I think you guys missed out of this. It's called 1 to 128. Have you guys seen this? It started. Starting tomorrow. So I have pick 18, and basically it's 1 through 32. There's 32 teams, and you have to pick one roster position. So if you get the Jets wide receivers, that's all your wide receivers for the whole year. Someone's going to get stuck with that at the end. It's inevitable. There's 32. So my goodness, I can't imagine.
Is there any truth to the rumor that you and your son are actually playing for the Jets during the preseason?
Yeah. So I told you guys this morning that my son came to me. He's like, "Dad, I got tickets off of StubHub or SeatGeek. $10 tickets to the Jets preseason game this coming Saturday night." And I tried to tell him at $10, he still got ripped off. But he was excited. He's a Jets fan. He's 16. He wants to go see the game, and we'll get to see some, McGuire play or something like that. But I did hear a rumor that if we get there early enough and we stretch out and we show them that we're limber, we might get a shot to get on the field and actually catch a couple of passes because they have nobody left.
So Steve, would you draft Sal over Forte this year, or are you still high on Forte here?
I'm high enough on Forte that I'm taking him over Sal. That's for sure.
Yep, you have not seen my 40.
What about Sal Jr.?
Now, Sal Jr., he is right next to Bilal Powell. I think I would have an issue. That's a tough one. I'd take Sal Jr. Sal Jr. is my number one
good
Jets pick.
He's a volleyball player. He's got good leaping ability.
That's right. He's a leaper.
All right. Let's keep moving along. Ted Ginn is listed as the wide receiver 2 ahead of Willie Snead. Now, look, all of these depth chart things came out this week, right? And they listed their first depth charts, and there's stuff all over the place. And, there's veterans over rookies that you expect to be number ones. We talked about this off the air where, it's just a motivation factor and things like that. And then there's stuff like Ted Ginn being listed over Willie Snead. But Steve, do you care or not care about this? Is this something that you're actually putting some stock into?
I cannot say that I would put much stock into this. I think at this point in Ted Ginn's career, he is a boom or bust type of guy. Willie Snead, much more likely to get consistent volume in that offense, but it is the Saints offense. So the chance of Ted Ginn booming more than he busts is probably pretty good, but I think that Willie Snead is still going to be the wide receiver 2 there after Michael Thomas, and I think he's going to be the guy you want. I wouldn't be reading too much into this one. I'm still going to be taking Willie Snead where I find him, and Ted Ginn later on in drafts in best ball format. I don't want to have to deal with the headache of choosing when to pick my spots with that guy.
All right,
yeah, you guys know I'm the Snead guy. I can't agree with Steve more, and I think that the 3 guys are going to be on the field, and even Brandon Coleman's going to be out there sometimes. It's just the way the Saints run it. With a lot of guys on there, but I think second in targets on his team will still be Snead.
Yeah, I agree with you. I can't really argue the fact that Snead, the younger, more talented guy, I think at this point in their careers, Ginn is a specialist. He's going to do what he does. And I think, he's definitely got value this year, but I would put more stock in Willie Snead as well. The other depth chart thing that raised some eyebrows this today was Jeremy Hill over Joe Mixon. I know, Sal, you're still riding that Jeremy Hill train, aren't you?
Still on the Hill train. No, listen, I think Mixon's the more talented all-around player, and I think he'll probably get bulk touches by the time the season moves on. But I think Hill's still going to be used at the goal line. So his ability to punch. Go ahead. What?
You're going to die on that hill?
I see what you did there. I got a question for you, Sal.
Yeah,
did you or did you not draft Joe Mixon with the 10th overall pick in a draft today? Answer the question.
I did not do that. No. So we'll get this in quick because our draft is starting shortly. We are in another. We get involved in so many crazy leagues because it's the off season and we get bored. And Will Martins, our friend Money Martins from the Fantasy Life app, he created what he called a random draft. So you go 1 to 10 in a snake draft fashion, but when it becomes your pick, you pick what position you want, and from a 10, based on who's left, from that person up to the 10 people above him is the range of player that could be picked out of the hat, so to speak, for you. So at the 10 spot, with everybody aside from a DJ available, I went running back, and I ended up with Joe Mixon at number 10. So I said, screw it. I'm going to go right back to running back on the wraparound because I'm going to definitely get Le'Veon Bell. And no, I got Danny Woodhead.
Hey, I got DeMarco Murray at the 1-1 overall. First overall.
Look, it could be worse.
Yeah, it could be.
Right? But that's a poor strategy in my opinion anyway. You go with because of that fact that you can get a DeMarco Murray if you go number 1 overall and you go running back. In my opinion, you should probably lean more wide receiver in the earlier rounds because there's 8 or 10 wide receivers that I wouldn't mind, if I get stuck with 1 overall, whereas there's only really maybe 4 running backs that you want at that spot.
Man.
Well, when it got to my pick, there was 1 wide receiver taken at that point, and a bunch of other running backs were already gone, and the good ones were still there, and I still got crap.
Yeah. It's been rough.
Yeah, that's just getting host. All right, guys. So we are gonna skip the rest of the care or don't care, and we're gonna move into the draft portion of the night. Obviously, we want to remind you that you can go to playdraft.com/falafel, or you can go into the Play Draft app on the iTunes store or in your Google Play store or wherever you have apps, I guess. And you can type in the code falafel when you make a deposit of at least $10. They will give you a free entry into another best ball tournament. So definitely go in there, check that out. The way this worked for us, we have a 10-team draft, and the 3 of us will be picking. I will be picking in the 2 spot, and Sal will be picking in the 9 spot, and of course Steve will be falling right behind him with 10 and the wraparound pick as well.
Yeah.
So that should be fun. We're going to get going. We're going to do this live on the air so you can see how quick it is to draft a team in this format with this app, how easy it is. We're going to go through all the picks and kind of give you our thoughts on a best ball format. It is half point PPR, basically, regular rules as far as regular scoring as far as half point PPR goes. And I'm pretty sure I've won all of these so far that we've done, guys. But maybe you guys can, put a little effort into this one.
Yeah, not true. Not true. I'm undefeated in these so far.
Yeah, you and Steve are talking out of your bunghole, so I don't know what the hell goes on here. Hey, it's good to see some.
Bungholes?
Yeah, bungholes.
Good to see what?
Good to see some familiar names in this draft, but guys that we haven't drafted with on the draft app yet. Jason Donio, one of the Little Indians in there. Army Dan is in there. Scuba Dre is in there. Brooksy's back. Cheesy's back. Cheesehead is back. Got a lot of cheese going on in here.
A lot of cheese in this one.
Who's TJB 1281? Do we know that person?
No, I don't actually.
All right, we got a rando.
He snuck in.
There was one guy on the Fantasy Life app that Steve did recruit that I saw had some interest and said he was in, although I don't remember his username on the app. So we'll have to look into that. But thank you for joining. This draft is getting started in 10 seconds. You will have 30 seconds to make your pick, guys, so make sure you're paying attention. I think I'm going to have a pretty easy time with my selection.
Yeah.
So pay attention. Where else am I going to go?
Well, I mean, you got things to do. Usually, there's a dog around.
Right now, so here's what I'm doing. Right now, I'm petting the dog with my right hand.
Well, that's not appropriate for the air. Come on. Keep it clean.
My dog. It's hairy. It's a hairy dog too.
All right, so David Johnson goes first. I took Le'Veon Bell number 2. Antonio Brown goes at 3, and then Ezekiel Elliott still coming in at number 4. Steve, what do you think about that?
I think I'm at the point right now where I've worried enough that I'm dropping Zeke back overall to probably about the 6 or 7 spot. If I'm picking in the top 5, top 2 wide receiver or running backs are gone, I'm going to be going with Brown, Jones, and Beckham ahead of him. Just because I'm hearing more and more, it seems that it's going to be closer to a 4-game suspension for him. And so yeah, I'm okay with that. I think, you take your chances. You saw last year what happened with Bell. He missed 4 games, still ended up being a stud running back.
I think if you're talking about redraft leagues and all that, I think it makes a difference. But in this format, I'm really shying away from Elliott. I don't know if I'd even take him in the first round, to be honest. And maybe
that's AJ Green there for Steve. I know you guys are talking,
but I'm talking.
Listen, I don't know that I would take him in the first round because maybe that sounds crazy to people, maybe it doesn't, but I just think that that's too much risk in a best ball format where if it's 6 games, we think it's probably going to be lower than that, but if it is 6 games, then you're in a lot of trouble in a best ball format. All right, so reviewing the picks here, let's see. Sal took Melvin Gordon at number 9.
Because Devonta Freeman got sniped at 8.
Steve had A.J. Green at 10 and Evans at 2.1, so he is stacking his wide receivers. And then Sal went running back again with Jordan Howard. So interesting there that Steve went wide receiver.
Yeah, I would have taken Freeman had he been available, and when he was taken, and Sal didn't take one of these guys, I took 2 wide receivers that I've got in my top 5. So I'm gonna do that, and then probably double up on running backs my next time through.
I get worried.
I took 2 running backs.
And why did you do that, Sal?
I like the value there. I wanted to get Gordon ahead of Steve. That's why I took him there, and I would have probably went Evans if Steve wasn't behind me. But it's just the way it worked out.
Yeah, I normally I like to start off with 2 running backs as well, just because I think that the running backs get thin really quick at the end, into the 3rd and 4th rounds in these leagues. But in this particular situation for me, I had to go with Amari Cooper with my second pick because I just don't love the value here for running backs, and I know with a couple of picks coming up, I can probably get one coming back around if I need to. So
surprises me you didn't go Baldwin above Cooper. I feel like you're a big Baldwin guy, and maybe a little anti-Cooper. I don't know why. I just feel that way.
I feel like you're wrong, and I disagree with
He
you.
he loves what's that fruitcake over there who can't play football? Tyler Lockett.
I do. I am a big Tyler Lockett guy. I think that he will have a rebound season. I think he'll finally break out. So yes.
All I see is the depth chart being moved around over there with wide receivers, and Lockett's name's never brought up.
He's been injured. He's been on the pup. He's
pup.
he's better now. He's coming off. He came off the pup this week. He's looking.
The dream is over.
I think he started throwing tennis balls. So I think he's good to go.
Oh, I got an apple for him.
And then you went Gurley.
And then I went Gurley. Yeah, I ended up going Gurley. I went back to the running back well. I felt like I had to. Like I said, I mean, I'm looking at the running backs that are available for you right now, Steve. You're talking Crowell, Montgomery, Mixon, McCaffrey, Gillislee. You're not gonna have that stud running back on your team.
I'm gonna get a hold of Cheesehead and punch him right now. He's getting a dick punch. He just sniped me on 2 rounds in a row. He sniped me on Hopkins now.
Listen, you're taking this far too personally.
Oh no, it's on.
So you go Sammy Watkins. Explain that pick to me.
Well, I've taken Watkins in almost every one of these drafts. I'm high on Watkins this year. He's the ultimate best ball style player. But I think Watkins is going to play 16 games this year and finally prove his worth. I've switched on Watkins completely this year.
So Carlos Hyde, Steve, is the first running back that you take off the board after taking Demaryius Thomas first.
Yeah, you also messed with me by taking Demaryius Thomas. He's a lowlife, Steve. You're a lowlife.
You're just way too personal with this, Sal. I think you need to take a deep breath and let's settle down.
I'm fine.
That's
fine.
right.
I'll take Keenan Allen.
So I'm looking at Steve's roster. You have AJ Green, Mike Evans, and Demaryius Thomas, which is a great wide receiver core. But Carlos Hyde leading the charge for you. I like Carlos Hyde this year. I don't know that I want him as my RB1.
Right now, you don't want him as your RB1 because all we have to go off of him is from last year. But we know what type of offense is being implemented into that team. We know the reports out of training camp after the up and down roller coaster that came out with him potentially being cut and then him looking great. Everything that's come out since then says that he's in the best shape of his life. He's looked as great as he's ever looked on that team. He looks like he's fitting into the offense right now. Everything has been looking good for him. As long as he can stay healthy, there's no reason that he could not end up being a low-end RB1. And so I took him above Crowell, above Joe Mixon, above Christian McCaffrey, because I have him ranked in my rankings right now as an RB12. So I believe in him. I think as long as he stays healthy, I think he has the talent, and I think he's on the type of offense that would utilize him and give him enough volume to be an RB1. So I'm comfortable with it because I have to be.
You're preaching to the choir here. I'm a big Hyde guy. Like I said, I can't have him as an RB1. No matter how much I like the hype, I like Hyde. And I think I've been trying to drive the hype pretty much all off season. I do think that he's just not that guy, and the injuries are a concern, particularly in a best ball format. I just think you're going to struggle there.
Hey, it's good to see McCaffrey's value is dropping. He's down to ADP of 42.1, so that'll be a 4th round in this league. I'm more comfortable taking him if he starts to drop to 4 or 5. I'm starting to warm up to him based on what I'm hearing coming out of training camp.
You better take him before me, buddy.
Listen, I like McCaffrey a lot. I still think, Sal, your point, and I'm giving you credit, so you should actually take it because I hate doing this. Jonathan Stewart's going to be a factor in that offense, and there's just no question around it. I actually was writing an article for a Dynasty article for DynastyTradeCalculator.com, and it'll be coming out soon. But I mentioned Jonathan Stewart in it because he got over 200 carries last year.
Hey, Kev, before you go any further, I guarantee you Cheesehead takes McCaffrey right here. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, he had over 200 carries last year, and that was in 13 games, and I don't know that I see a situation where he doesn't get 200 carries again, even with McCaffrey there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Obviously, you pointed out that that's something I've said, so, I'm loving the value of Stewart.
I see what you're doing here, Sal. You can't focus because you're already angry and the pick hasn't even been in.
Yep, and Cheesy is going to auto pick.
He takes a quarterback, Drew Brees. So is that the first quarterback off the board so far? I believe it is.
No, Rodgers and Brady have both gone already.
Okay, all right.
Here you go, Sal.
Gillisley went.
I'm
going to take him. I'm going to take him, and I'm taking him over Spencer Ware.
Exactly. That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for you to take him over Spencer Ware.
I'm going to take him because it's a 0.5 PPR, and I think Ware's going to get the carries over there, but I think it's going to go, and you bastard, you take Ware. But as I'm talking about Steve, I don't know how many times we had the draft, and I end up being a spot right before after Steve. He does this to me all the time.
So Steve does take Greg Olsen, though, Steve. A little early on the tight end, in my opinion, for a best ball. What's your thinking there?
Greg Olsen is consistently a top 5 tight end. I like the volume that he gets on that team. He is one of the most consistent pass catchers. I know Christian McCaffrey is going to be there and taking some volume away from him, but I just like the way that Cam uses him. He's consistent. He plays all year long, and it's right around his ADP. And in these 10-team leagues, I feel like it's important to get a valuable position player at each spot. So not having to worry about my tight end for the rest of the draft and being able to pick up a few later round guys just in case Olsen does go down or has a bad game. I feel like taking him at the back end of the 5th round is still a pretty good spot for him.
So we are into the 6th round. We're at 6.6, and I am curious here, guys. Jarvis Landry's still on the board, which is strange to me. I know that a lot of people think that his value doesn't go up or down necessarily with Cutler coming in at quarterback, but I actually think it's going to go up. I mean, I know he's not the typical big prototype wide receiver, but the guy knows how to run routes and get open. And I think Cutler's going to be he tends to look towards one guy.
And he catches everything.
He catches everything.
Yeah, I love Landry. I think this might also have a little bit to do with all the news that's coming out about the potential domestic violence issue that he had. Although there was also a statement that came out from the woman involved in that saying that it's all a lie, it didn't happen the way that it's being reported, blah, 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 blah. So it could end up being a complete non-issue whatsoever. So to see him fall to the 6th round, to the back end of the 6th round where Kev just ended up picking him up, I think that's a great value for him. You won't see him do that very often. So I think that is a steal this late in the draft.
Yeah, in a PPR format, I'm really happy to get him at 6.9. He probably could, should come close to over 100 catches this year, and just great value at that point. I'm looking to go running back at this point because I'm a little thin.
Adrian Peterson.
But unfortunately, I cannot take Adrian Peterson, and instead, I got to go with my boy, Dante Moncrief in the 7th round. I can't pass that up.
C.J. Anderson. You need a running back. C.J. Anderson sitting there in the 7th round. Bad pick, Kevin.
You just farted all over that pick.
Listen, the reason I ended up switching up my thought process there, I was going to go Danny Woodhead, and he got taken right before me. Sal, you went on a little rant in one of the chats we had today about Danny Woodhead. So what's your problem with Woodhead this year?
Well, I don't have a problem with Danny Woodhead. So it was that draft where I ended up getting him as the 11th overall pick. To me he's like a 25 to 30 range wide receiver in PPR, and I got to see Danny Woodhead get on the field and perform. He's not a young guy. I got to know that he's back healthy all the way. So, it's just not a guy I'm taking at that spot. So the PPR is his game. We'll see what happens this year. There's a lot to be determined in Baltimore, I believe. Like I said, I think there'll be another back brought in that isn't on a team right now that maybe gets cut from another team. But with the larger rosters and the cut downs coming later, people are not going to be able to bring guys in until the final week of camp this year.
So some other guys that are coming off the board right now in the early part of the 7th round, Stefan Diggs, Amir Abdullah, who we talked about a little bit, Deshaun Jackson, Emmanuel Sanders, and Jamison Crowder. Those all seem like great value plays in the 7th round for me, Steve.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what the hell is going on around here. Stefan Diggs, I got him ranked as a mid-range wide receiver too, saying that he can stay healthy all year. Emmanuel Sanders, he's been a top or a wide receiver too for everything that he's done in Denver. And Sal just took C.J. Anderson because he's a jerk. And
take that, son of a beach.
Settle down.
Dog,
this might just end up being a complete spite draft because of what Sal's doing to me right now.
Yeah, I feel like you guys are literally just trying to piss each other off at this point. But Sal, give me your thoughts on C.J. Anderson this year. You take him at 7.9, which I do think is good value. He is a guy that I thought of in my pick, but you end up having him fall to 8 picks later. So
yeah, I think that he's got a clear cut. My dog didn't like the pick. He's got a clear cut. got to the first team touches. He's got nobody really behind him that worries me. His immediate backup is injured, and you know how I feel about Jamal Charles, so I think he's going to be just fine.
D'Angelo Henderson's a guy that worries me a little bit because there are some glowing reports. I get it. He's a rookie. Devontae Booker will come back at some point. And I don't know. I'd be nervous about C.J. Anderson holding down the job since he hasn't really done it in the past.
He's only not done it in the past because of his health issues. So as long as he's healthy.
Is that true? Are we sure?
Yeah, he's never been because of his performance while he's been healthy. That is a fact. He's been
I'm not suggesting he would get sat, but that doesn't mean he's good.
But while he was playing, when he's played and when he's been healthy, he has been productive. And Denver has addressed their offensive line. They drafted a new left tackle. They've added somebody at free agency. They've been able to hopefully rectify some of those problems they had on their offensive line. And he has been a productive running back when he has been healthy. So I think as long as he is able to stay healthy, he's looked good in camp. Cecil Lammey covers the Broncos. He's been posting all kinds of stuff about them. And he says that C.J. Anderson looks great this year. Catching passes out of the backfield, looks good running. I think he is going to surprise a lot of people if he can stay on the field.
I appreciate Steve picking up that and putting it so eloquently as we killed the dog and got him out of here. So
that's not. Don't say that.
Yeah, that's not true. That didn't happen.
That did not really happen. That's false.
No. My daughter picked up the dog and took him into another room, but it ended up leaving me taking Matt Ryan, who I probably would not have taken there. I would have waited a little bit longer on my QB, but I don't hate it.
It's a quarterback.
Yeah,
a quarterback. Man.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
So
Kevin?
I am on the clock here, or at least I was on the clock. Theo Riddick, I took at 8.9, which I think is a great running back combination to combine. You know, I have two starters already in Bell and Gurley. I think adding Riddick in behind there, he could have some big games, especially in PPR format. So I'm happy with that pick. My question here is whether or not to go, to go with the tight end or to continue to try and bolster the running back crew that I have. I'm going to take a guy that I just don't. I don't know that I love him, but with the amount of touchdowns that he had last year and the amount
Light him up.
Yeah, LeGarrette Blount, man, I just can't figure out what he's going to be in Philadelphia this year, right? I don't know that they have anyone that's really going to challenge him for goal line work, and if they can get, if Carson Wentz can improve the way Sal seems to think he's going to. They could be in the end zone quite a bit, and he could be that guy that gets, a 10 touchdown season.
Yeah, I think he's got the possibility for more than a 10 touchdown season. I think he'll play that Ryan Matthews role from last year. And Matthews, while he was a pain in the ass,
back in history.
Yeah, it was just a pain in the ass to have him in there each week because he'd get like a bunch of touches in the first half and then not touch the ball in the second half. But he always seemed to be in there on the goal line, and he got plenty of goal line touches.
Have you apologized to Doug Peterson yet?
No, I'll be back this year, Doug. Watch yourself, buddy. Watch yourself.
It was really hard for me to pass up a guy that's just staring me in the face. And John Brown still out there in the 9th round. Just got taken actually at 9.5. He's a guy that
smart guy.
I understand the injury risk, and I get it. But I am all in on John Brown this year. I think that he's going to have a great year. I think he can stay healthy, and I think that he's going to look like a true, I want to say wide receiver 1 for that team, but I don't think he's going to be a wide receiver 1. I think probably a wide receiver 2 is.
What do you guys feel about the Jacquizz Rodgers value at 9.7?
I feel like it's a little early. I feel like you have been able to find him in the 10th or 11th round, so I don't mind him. I think he's going to. Obviously, he's got those 3 games to start the season, and then they've said that Doug Martin is not secure to have that starting job when he comes back. So he has potential for season-long value. Taking him in the 9th round, you got him for at least those 3 games. Maybe you can sell him off to somebody who's maybe not paying attention as much.
Listening to the FF Ballers today, the fantasy footballers, they were doing an ADP update, and he has actually jumped up into the 9th round in ADP. So it's kind of on target for where he's going.
Interesting.
So Brandon Marshall, Steve, did you just get auto-picked, or are you actually high on Brandon Marshall here?
Come on. You remember you were here last year, right? I was all over Sterling Shepard because he was the second wide receiver in that New York Giants offense. And now Brandon Marshall is that guy. So Brandon Marshall is much more of a red zone threat than Sterling Shepard is, even though Sterling Shepard ended up with 8 touchdowns last year. Brandon Marshall is a much bigger target, somebody that they can target down in the red zone. And getting him in the 9th round, being the wide receiver 2 in that offense, being the type of caliber receiver that he is, I don't think there's much of a question there. And then I backed him up with Eric Decker, who is his old teammate on the Jets, now in Tennessee. Also another red zone target for Marcus Mariota, one of the most efficient red zone passers in this league right now. So going for some touchdown upside, hopefully, as long as these guys can stay healthy through the season.
Hey, remember last year when the Jets had Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, and Quincy Enunwa?
Yeah, and Ryan Fitzpatrick coming off of his magical season that fooled everybody. I remember.
Yeah, didn't fool the Bills. They were already there once.
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, Sal takes Tyrell Williams at 10.2. I love the value there, Steve. Or Sal.
Yeah, thanks. Absolutely. He's thank you, Steve. I'm glad you appreciate it. The value is great. We saw when this guy got an opportunity to play last year, he performed. It becomes more and more likely each day that Mike Williams is not going to see an NFL football field this year. So I think that you're getting a guy in a high-powered passing offense that just goes for deep bomb touchdowns. So he's a great best ball play, and he's a great pick in the 10th round.
I completely agree with you. I am on coming up on the clock soon. I'm hoping that one of my quarterback targets makes it here. And this is the reason I wait until the 10th round. I can get Cam Newton here at 10.9, and I'll still on the wraparound at 11.2 be able to take another quarterback to offset that. Another top quarterback in that range with the Ben Roethlisberger still on the board. Kirk Cousins, if you like him, Derek Carr. All of these guys, Stafford, Rivers, great value here on the board for quarterback in the 11th round, I think.
Yeah, it's starting to come off, though, right? Cousins just went right after that pick you took. We'll see what Scuba Dre does. And he goes back-to-back quarterbacks with Cousins and Rivers. So as you speak, you might have started to run. There goes Stafford.
So there you go. See, four in a row, right? That's it. And that's why, I think we've talked about it before. You always want to start the run, not end the run, right?
Yeah, I would have been actually very happy with Cam and Stafford. And Roethlisberger goes after that, so we've gotten 5 quarterbacks in a row. Jay's not smart. He'll probably take a quarterback also. And boom, Jameis Winston.
Oh, man. All right. So the one concern I have with my roster right now is the tight ends. I have not taken one yet. It is getting thin, and I might be in some trouble when it gets back around to me here.
No, what are you talking about? Eric Ebron's there. He's so good.
I'll take Eric. Oh, Dak Prescott, 7 quarterbacks in a row.
That's crazy.
I've gone. The run has begun and might end before it gets back to me.
Wow. Let's take a look at Sal's team, who has Matt Ryan as the quarterback. You said he wouldn't have taken. I'll bet you're kind of glad you did take him then now.
Yeah, I'm going to be hoping to land Derek Carr here. Derek Carr. So what's great about the draft app is they have the bye week right there for you. And now I could go to my team and I can look at Matt Ryan has a bye week in week 5. And I go back and I realize, oh, great, Derek Carr, if he doesn't get sniped by Cheesehead, here will be perfect. It'll be a perfect addition to my roster.
How bad is it going to be if he does get sniped?
Oh, I'm going to find out.
So bad.
If he does live in Milwaukee, I'll be paying a visit. It's not that big of a town.
I'll pay that airfare for the payoff to get down there.
Oh,
I'm looking at your team.
He took Eric Ebron. That's going to be Derek Carr for me, which is Derek Carr in the 11-9. Great value.
Very good value there. Sal, what do you think his ceiling is this year?
Derek Carr?
Yeah.
Listen, I try to not be a homer. I think he could go for 45 and 30 touchdowns, 4,530 touchdowns this year.
You think top 5 is very realistic for him?
I have him rated, I think, at 8. Steve has him, I think, at top 5. Steve's higher on Derek Carr than I am.
I've got him at 5.
Yeah, so
I think he's in for a good year.
I think it's really all depends on Amari Cooper and can they get one of these tight ends to be consistent.
Yeah, I think the touchdowns is really going to be, the deal, right? If they can get Amari Cooper targeted in the end zone, I think that's going to make a huge difference for him in the, this year, scoring wise. So I agree with you, though. I think that I think that those are definitely within the realm of possibility. He's one of the guys that I could literally see finishing anywhere from 5 all the way back to 14 or 15.
Was that you who took Tyler Lockett, or did he get sniped from you, Kev?
No, he got stolen from me. I would have had him. Absolutely.
Well, somebody did you a favor.
I didn't have him. You'd take Tyler Lockett over Marvin Jones right now?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, God.
No question.
What?
That's not even a question to me.
How is it not even a question? What has Tyler Lockett done in the NFL? What?
because at this point in the draft, you're talking about pure upside. You're just talking about what guys
Marvin
that have a
Jones
chance.
was the number one ranked. He was the number one ranked
for 2 weeks.
I was going to say for the first 3 weeks last year, and then he got caught up to by Tate, who's the natural number one wide receiver in that offense. But he's a much higher upside guy to me than Lockett. I don't think so.
And by the way, let me just point out really quickly here that Steve actually has Lockett ahead of Marvin Jones in his ranking.
Oh, that's going to change. What are you just sitting there staring at the rankings, waiting for one of us to not go exactly with how they go?
He probably went to mine first and realized I didn't have him.
Oh, no, actually, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong column. It actually is Sal.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
What are we looking at, standard or PPR?
This is standard.
Yeah,
this is standard.
Told you I didn't do my standard rankings. I only did my PPR rankings.
So well, none of them updated since it says you haven't updated them since the 10th of June. But still,
I updated my PPR last night.
Boo, Scuba Dre. Boo, stealing Jamal Williams. Boo.
13th round, Steve. You usually see him last a little bit longer than that. No.
I know. No, that's pretty good value for him. I usually have been taking him in the 12th, and I even took back-to-back running backs in my last round, and I didn't take him.
So I see Quincy Enunwa was coming up on the ADP, and we remember a couple weeks back, Kevin, he was snoozing out there and ended up with Kenneth Dixon. Kenneth Dixon's obviously clearly dropped in these drafts and is no longer in that position. Do you think that maybe we should just call the draft app guys and say, hey, get him out of there. Don't screw with us.
It's probably not a bad idea. I will say, that sucks when you fall asleep at the wheel and you end up with Kenneth Dixon on your roster. So, no.
I have Enunwa on about 5 or 6 draft rosters already.
I ended up with 0 shares of Quincy Enunwa. So,
congratulations, jerk.
Hey, I'm not proud, I guess. I'm like I said, I'm not happy. You don't root for an injury, especially a season-ending neck injury. Those are rough. So,
Andy Dalton all the way in the end of the 13th round.
Yeah, not pleased about that pick right there, Cheesehead. Not
because I'm guessing that was the guy you were looking for to offset your Russell Wilson risk.
That is correct. So now I'm going to hedge my bet with another AFC or NFC West quarterback, Carson Palmer, who I know Sal is behind as having a comeback season this year. And then I'm also going to take Cameron Brate because he is going to be the tight end to own in Tampa Bay this year. I've said it all offseason. OJ Howard, you are the dynasty tight end to own, but in redraft, in best ball, I will take Cameron Brate. He will end up with more touchdowns than OJ Howard this year, which is what you're looking for your tight end.
So who was the debate that we had the other day, Steve? It was Cameron Brate versus I forget who we were talking about. Do you remember?
No, I tried to forget most of our conversations.
That's good. That's a good strategy. It's a good strategy.
No, I don't.
All right, well,
I were you rooting for Cameron Brate or were you against him?
No, I was against him. We were arguing a player, and I said that I liked the player better than Cameron Brate, and you were all upset about that.
It had to be. Oh, was it Fedorowicz?
It was Fedorowicz. That's correct. Yes,
that's right.
Yes, I have him at 14 and Brate at 19. So I do have him a couple spots ahead there.
Where do you have Howard?
I have OJ Howard at 27. So
you think the Tampa Bay tight end is completely useless this year?
Basically, yeah. I think they're going to cancel each other out, to be quite honest with you. I think that's part of the problem, right? I don't know that I expect either of them to be very valuable because both will be on the field and both will be used. And
and he takes Fedorowicz as he's talking about.
Of course. I look in the 14th round. I think Fedorowicz is a great value. By the way, obviously I have him at tight end 14, so I think that's pretty solid value there. But yeah, Steve, I think that Brate and Howard are going to cancel each other out a little bit.
I have Fedorowicz ranked higher than Brate, obviously, so I'm not saying that I would take Brate ahead of him. I think there's a very real possibility that Fedorowicz crashes to the ground harder than any player this year and becomes an absolute afterthought in fantasy football. He was never thought of as a pass-catching tight end. Going into last season, it was not what he was ever brought in to do. He was considered the blocking tight end. And he ended up having a great year. He had a chemistry with Ash Washer, but who knows if that returns with whoever's in there now. So I think big chance he crashes.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, just because, I don't know that he was brought in to be just a blocking tight end. I think coming out of college, he was a guy that could catch some passes. I believe it was Iowa that he came out of. And I think he had some talent. He wasn't a guy that they expected to hit the ground running immediately, but he was someone that could, be a pass-catching tight end.
Griffin was the guy they were expecting to be that player, though. When comparing those two guys, it was Griffin who was expected to be that guy. Fedorowicz took it. I mean, the guy performed. There's no denying that. But I'm just saying.
I got a question. I got to interrupt. Brooksy just took Jordan Matthews in the 15th round. 15. I know reports have come out that he's going to maybe lose some snaps on the field. Nelson Aguilar's had a pretty solid training camp. But do you think that he is just going to disappear? Do you think Jordan Matthews is just going to vanish? For him to go in the 15th round, I think that is an absolute huge value right there. What do you guys think?
I think that there's going to be too many mouths to feed in Philadelphia. I think that there's a lot of weapons, which is why I think Wentz will have a nice season. But I think that a lot of people will cancel each other out.
Out of curiosity, Steve, you're talking about a guy that had 73 receptions, 800 yards, and 3 touchdowns last year. Wouldn't that be right around the 15th round value?
I think he was hurt last year. He missed a couple games, and I think that he could increase his touchdown total. I think that his yardage might not go up very much, but I think he can increase the amount of touchdowns.
Steve, you're on a clock in case you don't know.
Yes, I got it. Thank you. And I think that Jordan Matthews is the type of receiver that what the happened? Oh, I'm going to have to bleep that out now.
Whoa!
No!
Oh man, there goes.
I hit it 2 times. Oh my god, 2 times I hit this. I just hit it again.
No!
What's going
on?
Not
only did
I just hit it for a 3rd time. Something's happening.
Not only did we
3 times. I've just hit it.
Settle down. We are recording a podcast right now. Just settle down.
No, it just. I hit to draft John Ross 3 times, and then hit it a 4th time for my 16.1, and it still didn't register until I clicked to draft Darren McFadden. Oh.
So clearly that you are having some connectivity issues with your Wi-Fi. I apologize for your luck in that, but let's move along here. You ruined
it worked out for me.
You ruined our not safe for work rating, so you've just killed us all around here, Steve. And I understand that it hurts to have a new one on your roster. I think you'll recover.
Oh,
Remember when you
I'll
said
be
you
just
had
fine
no
with
shares?
The 17-team roster. Whoa!
Remember when he said he had no shares of an Unwa, Kev? That was cute.
That was cute. It was not that long ago either.
That's what you get, tough guy.
Oh, that's what I get for not drafting somebody and then them getting injured.
Now we lost Steve. What happened?
Yeah, that's it. Let's just keep moving along. Sal, we're in the 16th round now. How do you feel about your roster? You had originally said a while back that you as we were doing these, you kind of like to plan for certain roster and configuration. Do you still go with that, or has your strategy changed?
I've changed it up a little bit. I've gone a little bit more wide receiver heavy than I used to. Sometimes I'll go with a 7th wide receiver like I did in this draft, and maybe we definitely lost Steve. And so respond to him, Kevin, that no, we cannot hear him. And I'll probably go lighter on a quarterback depending on if I have 2 really good quarterbacks. So I've been going with the 3 tight ends. I've been going with the 7 wide receivers. And I try to get at least 5 running backs. Sometimes I go with 6.
Yeah, I can't argue with that strategy. I don't do it on purpose, but I usually do end up somewhere in the 6 wide receiver, 6 running back range. I'm on the clock right now. I'm actually going to take a running back probably a little earlier than I need to, but with being early in the draft here, I'm going to lose out on some picks going forward, or there's going to be a big space between my next couple of picks. I take Alvin Kamara. I know he's a rookie. I know that there's Adrian Peterson is there, Mark Ingram is there, and Mark Ingram could end up being the pass catching back, but there is a lot of value to that CJ Spiller role, Darren Sproles role in New Orleans, and I think that Kamara has a chance to be that guy. So in the 16th round as a 5th running back, I don't mind taking him.
Yeah, like I said, we're getting late in the draft. It's worth the flyer. I do think that it sounded more and more like we spoke about earlier in this podcast about how 2 running backs could become relevant like Hunt and Ware. I do think that it sounded more like Ingram and Peterson could both carry maybe RB2 value in a PPR league. So I think that Ingram is going to definitely he's going to get carries, and he's going to be the receiving guy there. And I think that Peterson will obviously be the pounder and the goal line guy. So it's going to be interesting.
You're coming around on Ingram. Nice that you're coming around on
Ingram. I have Ingram up at 29, I believe, now in my revamped rankings. So I have to, when we get that straightened up. So, yeah, I got you, but he's going to most likely.
Steve just sounds so bitter now. Like he's just throwing out angry comments at this point.
That's right. I'm so upset about this Quincy Enunwa nonsense.
It's fine.
Not going to be bragging about how you won this draft, are you, Tiger?
No, I still am. I've still won. Even with the only 17 players, I've still somehow taken the cake. But, man, that's rough. I understand if I didn't try to draft someone else multiple times before I was auto-drafted, someone that was hurt. But it is what it is. I'll deal with it, and I'll still persevere.
So, do I get spiteful here and take Darren McFadden before the person who took Zeke takes him, thinking, I got all the way to the 17th round and I'm going to get him? I think I do.
I think you got to. I tried to pick him multiple times.
You tried to pick McFadden multiple times?
I tried to pick him. I was having connectivity issues on my end, all right?
And here he goes. He's coming home.
I almost took Darren McFadden with my last pick. I just don't know that as much as I would knock Zeke out of the first round, I don't know that I can justify taking McFadden, for only 4 to 6 weeks of production.
I don't care what you justify. I'm blocking somebody else.
Well, that's fine. You want to spite Steve? That's fine. At the cost of your own success, that's your choice.
But Steve didn't take Elliott.
No, he didn't. But he said he was going to take McFadden.
Boo you.
Well, the analysis in this podcast has just gotten to a whole new level.
Well, I got some good quarterbacks to choose from here. Ryan Tannehill, Sam Bradford. I am going to go with a guy who I feel is going to be better than people think this year, Jared Goff.
Wow.
As my number 3 quarterback.
I like that. I don't mind the pick. I think that you can certainly get away with it as a 3rd quarterback option in a best ball format that only starts 1 QB. Steve, I want to ask you, though, because you took a guy that I find is a pretty decent flyer in this best ball format in Tavon Austin. Obviously, we were talking about Cooper Kupp earlier. But Tavon Austin's a guy that does a lot. He could be used, a lot more in McVay's offense than he was in Jeff Fisher. Happy Jeff Fisher Day to everyone, by the way. He's a guy that's not a bad flyer right there.
No, he's definitely a gadget player. He's not your typical wide receiver one that you see on most teams. And he was basically a Tyreek Hill type guy before Tyreek Hill came into the league. He has been hampered by some injuries and was hampered a little bit by having a very conservative coach in Jeff Fisher. But yeah, he has the speed and he's got the talent to be able to be that gadget guy that is able to take the top off of defense. He can run routes. He can do end arounds. He can take the ball in a handoff. He can do all that kind of stuff as long as he stays healthy and as long as he's utilized properly. Yeah, why not take a flyer on him at the back end of the 17th round? It's not going to hurt, that's for sure.
By the way, he's out with a bulky hamstring as we speak.
Yeah, he's had some injury issues, like I said, and already having some coming into this season, which is why Cooper Kupp is looking and doing as good as he is. Although Kev, I know you and I were a big fan of his. Sal, I don't remember if you were, but
Cooper Kupp I have on multiple dynasty rosters. I got him cheap in a lot of dynasty rosters.
Yeah, so all three of us then we're big fans of his, and he's looking good. But Tavon Austin is definitely the type of guy that can be solid. I know last year he was touted as a low end wide receiver too that was going late as well. So the talent is there. You just got to see it happen on the field.
All right, so we are done. That is how quick it goes in a 10-team draft. 30-second clock moves very quickly. As you heard, guys like Steve, who have connectivity issues, get stumbled and screw up, and Sal just spites him anyway. So
that's right.
But that's how quick it goes. You can draft a team literally that quick. We all paid $5 for this league, and the payout should be pretty nice when I win. So overall, I think Look, running through my team, some of the guys that I'm excited to have on my roster, obviously you start a team off with Le'Veon Bell. I think you're in pretty good shape. I like the Amari Cooper pick as well at 19. Some of the other guys that I really like here, I got Josh Doxson at pick 179 in the 18th round. I don't know if he's going to, be able to stay healthy this year. I don't know if he's going to be able to get, become a wide receiver one at some point, but I did love him coming out of the draft last year. And I think in the last round, I'll take a shot for sure.
That entire offense was sitting out today at practice. Reed, Crowder, Doxson. So it's something to keep an eye on over there in Washington as they're banged up. Doxson obviously has all the talent. He was drafted high last year. I say, we should look back next week at all of last year's high wide receivers and see what's going on with them. Will Fuller, Doxson, guys like that who are just injured, and guys who were high on the people's charts last year, Tajay Sharp, Tyler Boyd. There's not a lot of those guys this year that are people like Laquan Treadwell. Going into the second year, none of them have really separated themselves as somebody you want.
Only Michael Thomas. He's the one. He's the one guy that is everybody is taking early.
Yeah.
Late first, early second. He is
not
the
you,
guy.
Steve. You're not taking him.
Not me. I've got 0 Michael Thomas shares so far. So
did anybody end up with any bye week issues in this league? Steve traditionally drafts 3 tight ends on the same week.
Yeah.
Did you do that in this one, Steve?
No, I'm okay on all my bye weeks. Got my 2 quarterbacks, separate bye weeks. God damn it. My tight ends again. My tight ends again.
Oh, man. All right, guys.
Nailed it.
Who are your tight ends, Steve?
Greg Olsen and Cameron Brate. Do not pair those guys up together.
Right.
Don't do it.
That's good. Sal, who on your roster? What are your roster? What's the best part of your roster, and what are your roster issues?
I'm very solid at quarterback with Ryan and Carr, and then Goff there to round it out in case I have any injuries. I like what I have going on at tight end. Kyle Rudolph, who led the all tight ends in receptions last year, so it's nice in a 0.5 PPR. Delaney Walker, who it may be in his last year of fantasy relevance, could still have a very big year in that offense. And then I grabbed Julius Thomas, who we spoke about earlier in this podcast about how I'm high on him. I would say that my wide receivers are probably my favorite part of the offense. I went with Sammy Watkins, Keenan Allen, Larry Fitzgerald, Tyrell Williams, Mike Wallace, Tyler Gabriel, and Kenny Stills. Those guys are all solid best ball plays. Every one of those guys could have big weeks or down weeks, and I'm expecting that other guys will help pick them up when they have those weeks. So outside of that, I probably went a little light on running back. I got Gordon, Howard, McCaffrey, C.J. Anderson, but then my 5th guy is McFadden, my spite pick. So I'm not very deep after the first 4 guys, but should still win. Beat all of you.
All right, so before we move along to our final thoughts, we are running very long on this podcast, so we thank you for listening. Definitely go to playdraft.com/falafel, or if you're in the app on your stores, wherever you get your apps, make sure you use the promo code falafel. Deposit at least $10 and you'll get a free entry into a best ball tournament. Steve, why don't you get us to final thoughts?
All right, thank you, everybody, like Kev said, for listening to this episode of the Falafel House Fantasy Football Podcast. You can check us out on Twitter at Falafel House. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, check out or just search for Falafel House, and then also falafelhouse.com, where we've got articles coming out daily. We've got our rankings up there, all kinds of good stuff to help you win your fantasy football season. Go and check out Falafel everywhere on the internet.
Falafel Feud. Falafel
That's
Feud,
right.
Sal. Steve.
Falafel Feud. The Falafel Feuds. For all those.
Feud.
It's a series of articles. So since Steve is clearly not explaining them, it's a series of articles where two of our writers debate each other on a particular player. So go and check those out. We'll have a new one coming out on Tyreek Hill pretty soon as well.
Yeah, I mean, these guys do a great job of summing everything up every week. So my final thought is, see you in 2 days, everybody.
That's it? That's all you got?
I got nothing.
All right. I'm going to go and go ahead and tell everyone to go to fantasycares.net and check out the best ball tournaments that are going on there. Obviously, the proceeds go to Toys for Tots. Giving children gifts at Christmas is there's really not much better you can do with your money. And if you get to play fantasy while you do it, that's even better. Scott Fish runs these leagues and makes them very enjoyable and some good prizes. So definitely go to that site, fantasycares.net, and check those out. We will try to do a much shorter show later in this week. It will be Friday when it is released, so check that out. And until then, Steve, hit the button.